I'm here to answer some questions that come up a lot when people contact me to buy houses. A lot of them ask me, hey, I'm contacting a realtor, or should I be contacting a lender? Where do I start? What's the process? How much money do I need, to buy? What's a good credit score? What we can do is we can start off with what's a good credit score to have when you buy. So a good credit score to have when you buy is a 620. You can buy it with a 580 credit score as your middle. I wouldn't probably buy a house with a 580 just because your interest rate is going to be high. In other videos, I'll probably talk about the interest rates and just go briefly over that in other videos. That way, you have a better understanding of, what impacts does the interest rate have? Like if I could buy, then why not buy? So I would I'll go into that, but yeah, I'd say a credit score of a 620 or higher would be good. The higher the credit score, the lower the interest rate, and the better off that you have to qualify. So I'd say a good starting point, is 620. Preferably, if you're still in the 600s, I would say probably a 660 is probably the best to have to actually start buying. But if you want to buy now, at least get your credit score up to a 620 and then go from there. How much do I need to put down? So everybody is always like, I need to put down 20%. Who can do that? Only the rich could do that. No, that's not true. You can put down, the lowest is 3.5%. That is an FHA loan. So, 3.5% is the purchase price. So that's how much you would have to put down. You could do conventional. Some of them you could do as low as 3%, but majority of the time it is 5% for conventional. If it's going to be owner occupied, then it's going to be 5% for conventional. If it's going to be usually an investment, so that somewhere you're not going to live and you're either going to rent it out, most times rent it out, it would be 20%. Another question always comes up is, where do I start? Who do I talk to? Do I talk to a realtor first, or do I talk to a lender? So what I always say is it's always good to start with a realtor. A realtor can basically help you guide you in the right direction. So if you're like, I need down payment assistance, I'd want to do that. That way, lender can help me either get my closing costs or get my down payment. I would say, I have clients that come to me all the time and that say, I need down payment assistance. So I have a lender for that. I have, other people like, oh no, I have the money. I just want a good interest rate. Who can give me the best interest rate? I go from there. Same thing with VA clients, which are your military clients. They always ask, I have VA, I could get the best rate, X and X. I also work with a lender that is, works with veterans and knows all the ins and outs of it and gets the loan done at a timely manner, and that, can get you guys the best deal out there. And I think it's the best deal because I do have family members in the military that, gone through them, that use them, and that love them. And that's how I found out about them. Another thing is, what's the process? How do I, like, if I find a lender, what's the process of, getting this done? So the best thing to do is don't start looking for a house and then find a house and say, okay, I want to put an offer on this one without a pre-approval. You never do that. If you do that, you're doing it all backwards, because what you have to do is you have to submit paperwork to the lender. The lender will review your tax documents for the last probably 2 to 3 years, your pay stubs, your current ones, bank statements, just to make sure, yes, you have the money in there, and if you need down payment assistance or not, and to make sure you have enough money for closing costs. we'll go into more detail about closing costs and down payments, in another video. But usually, bank statements, and then they want to make sure you've been at your job for, over 2 years, or been in the same industry for over 2 years, and it's consistent, and not say, you're working in, one industry for, the last 3 years, but you've had 7 different jobs. That does pertain to some type of work, like the union, workers like that. But if it's going to be like fast food, like, oh no, I worked at, McDonald's for X amount of months, and then Burger King, and then, this taco shop, it's all in the restaurant industry for, sporadic. And, there's no breaks, but, a bank sees that just to look at them like, oh no, like, we're kind of scared to fund that because they can't stay at a job for, a certain amount of time. So basically that's the process. Once they look at all those documents, they will also run your credit, see where your credit score is at, also run your debts. And when I mean debts, your debts are as in your car payments, not that you're in debt. It's just basically your payments that you're paying out versus the income that's coming in. So they do their calculation, and which it comes up to, it's called debt to ratio. So they calculate all your debts, and then they factor in your income, and then they come up with a percentage of saying, okay, well, 51% of their income is paid to the debts, kind of thing. So they come up with this calculation, and then they tell you, okay, yeah, you can afford to add a mortgage payment into there because your debts are low. Or sometimes they'll let you know, like, oh no, you have too many car payments. We can't do this. And yes, it does happen. But they are creative when it comes to stuff like that. So if it's like, oh, I got my mom a car and then I have myself a car. But what the bank looks at is, oh, you have 2 car payments. And you have to speak up to the lender and tell them, oh no, one of those is paid through my mom's, bank account, or whoever you co-sign for it. Oh, it's through their bank account. They pay it all separate. I have nothing to do with it except for my name's on the loan because they couldn't qualify by themselves. So you just have to let the lender know that way they can be creative and, get some of that stuff worked off. So after they're able to work through all that, then they finally give you and your realtor the pre-approval. Yeah, when you get with your realtor will tell you, okay, so, what's your criteria? They'll go through all that, and then you go find the house, put an offer in, and then once your offer is accepted, then that's when you guys go through the whole buying process. In other videos, I will go through basically the buying process of what's after an offer, what to expect, just all these, just disclosures and what to sign and what to look for and, all that fun stuff. But right now I'm just going over the basics. So I'd say another thing is, how much money do I need? So the amount of money that you need is about 3.5% plus closing costs. So the 3.5% is based off of the purchase price. So let's say you get pre-approved for, $300,000. So it would be 3.5% of $300,000. So that's just your down payment. And then you have your closing costs. Closing costs are normally between, I would say, 2.5% to 3%. I would calculate if you're overestimating. I always like to overestimate just to leave some cushion. So I would say 3% of the purchase price is good for your closing costs. Sometimes your lender is able to add credits. Sometimes you're able to ask the seller for credits. Sometimes you're able to ask the seller for credits if they, if there's repairs that needs to be done, but someone that can do it either cheap, you could do it yourself. Then I would say, you could get some closing cost credits, but it's never guaranteed. And it's usually cleaner, if you have the money for both of those. But there is options. So, don't ever cancel that out. Always ask questions. So that's my thing, is always asking questions, because if you're not asking questions to your realtor or to the lender, you'll never know, and it might cost you money. So just always ask questions. No questions are dumb. And if your realtor or your lender get annoyed with questions, find yourself a new lender and find yourself a new realtor, because they should be there to guide you. They're the professionals, not you. You come to them for their professional advice, for their professional help, and to help you, create this dream of yours of owning a house or a condo or, whatever it is that you're buying. Just make sure that they have, your full attention, you have their full attention, just because if they, aren't answering any of your questions, or they look at you like you're dumb, hire someone new. Hire someone that will answer anything that you have. Sorry about my rant. I'm just very passionate when it comes to that, just because I like to answer all my clients' questions, because I don't want them to miss anything during the process. Yes, it's 30 days. Yeah, it feels like a long time, but at the same time, it goes by super fast. And they need to know every step of the way. So I like to let either my buyers or my sellers, let them know, hey, this is the stage we're at. Do you have any questions? And usually I have sellers ask me, okay, well, what if this happens? So I always give them scenarios all the time. Same thing with buyers. I'll give them scenarios of what ifs all through the buying process. But, I just love communicating all the information to them. That way they are educated. So when it comes to after they buy and it comes to them selling, they're educated. They would love, for me, hopefully, to be their realtor to sell their home, just because, I can educate them on the other half. So that way they come a full circle of, of the whole real estate experience. And last question is Zillow a good place to start? So yeah, you can look on Zillow. If you're looking to sell your house, the Zestimate, so terrible. Do not go to Zillow to see how much your house is worth. Contact an agent, see how much your house is worth. An agent will give you, probably what I do normally is I give my my clients ranges. So they'll tell me, okay, well, I upgraded this, and I'm like, okay. So then I go back, look at what's sold, and see, okay, well, it should be between probably 300. I need to see what type of upgrades they are, and then see how fast it's going to sell. Look at all those numbers, and then I give them a range of probably like 300 to 310. And if it's in a desired area, I'll probably, okay, maybe 300 to 315, depending on how much renovation they did do. And then I go check out the house, look at all the upgrades, look and see if there's anything that needs to be fixed, like small things. And then we'll go from there. So with the Zestimate, it does not work. Zillow is there off an algorithm. What I mean by that is, so if you have a house in, let's say, a mile radius, what they do is they basically will take all the houses that sold in that area, right, within the last 12 months. They will calculate, okay, well, this house sold for 200, this house sold for 180, and this house sold for 250, and then this one sold for 220. And you're asking about your house. Oh, okay. And so they add all those up, and then they come out with an average. So that is your average price. So they're not going based off of square footage. They're not going based off of lot size. If you have a pool, if you have a spa, like none of that. Us realtors, we put everything into account and price it based off of that. So what I suggest is contacting a realtor, asking, I would say probably asking three realtors. See which ones, if they all come up with the same price, okay, makes sense. If they all come up with a different price, always ask why. even if you ask one or your favorite agent, just ask him why or how he got those. So that way he could send it over to you, give you, calculation on, okay, well, this many days it should sit there for just because, X amount of time on the market. And then the amount of upgrades that are in the house, all that stuff. Us realtors, what I normally do is I give a range. If I've never been inside your house within the last, upgrade, I can't tell you, okay, well, I'm gonna sell it for, 300. So if I tell you 300, but then you have a realtor that come over and they see all the upgrades, like, oh, wow, like you have a lot of upgrades in this house. Okay, yeah, it's gonna be 310. Well, you're going to go with the guy that said 310 just because, he saw the house. I didn't. You got to put both those factors into play. So that's just something to go for. And buying through Zillow. You can find realtors on Zillow. Yeah. There's always Google all that. Is it good or bad to find realtors on Zillow? It's a toss up. You can find some really good ones or you can find some really bad ones. You're never really connected with an agent, contracted with an agent at all until, they help you find the perfect home that you want. So yeah, buying through Zillow, it's a toss up. That's basically, that's on you. Selling, getting the Zestimate, I would never go off of that. That's number one rule of do not do. So if you have any questions or anything, you're more than welcome to give me a call or give me a text. My name is Joshua Lafond. If you need any help or you have any questions in regards to any type of real estate, buying, selling, investing, let me know. Thank you. Have a good one.